Hey everyone, meteorologist Michael Priante for WeatherWorks, and I'm joined here with my coworker Brad Miller. How you doing, Brad?
Good, Mike. How about yourself?
Good, pretty good. We got a hurricane developing currently across the northern Caribbean. That's
Yeah.
right, it is Hurricane Dorian, and over the past day or so, it definitely has ramped up in intensity, and the forecast has ramped up as well. If we
Yeah,
take
this
a
is going
look
to be something
outside.
we're going to be dealing with here for the next several days.
Exactly. And if you look at the satellite loop right now, it looks pretty impressive. It was fighting a little bit of dry
hmm
air and some shear, some wind shear along the southern flank, and you can actually see that along the southern part of the storm. You can see kind of flowing in. But once it gets into a little bit more favorable water, it looks like it's probably going to be a little more favorable out here as the storm track
Right.
starts going north. I think that's when it starts to really intensify, possibly even into a major
Yeah,
hurricane.
the satellite presentation isn't as impressive as it was about 12 to 24 hours ago. But again, like you said, there's some shear, some dry air, and the hurricanes go through this as it continues to move its way. Don't forget, it's going, several hundred miles here, and it's going to encounter different conditions as it does so. But like you said, it's going to probably endure or at least encounter some more favorable conditions here as we go on into later Thursday night and especially into Friday when, like you said, we could have our first major hurricane of the season in the Atlantic.
Right. So if we take a look at the National Hurricane Center, they just updated at 11 o'clock. Not a whole lot of an update, Brad, but it
No.
looks like it does look like that we are going to be seeing intensification in the next day or so to a major hurricane status. And if we keep going forward into the forecast by 8 a.m. Sunday, it's getting close to the Bahamas, and it'll be getting close to that coastline. Of course, if you look at the cone of uncertainty, as we like to call it here, the basically the outliers, basically take it all the way toward like the northern tip of the Florida coastline near Savannah and to the southern part right near
Right.
the Key West
And
area.
mainly the one thing to take from here is basically the entire state of Florida is at least within this zone, cone of uncertainty. And also, one thing I had noticed that in the last like 24 hours or so, notice the 8 a.m. position, like you said, just getting into the Bahamas, but notice the 8 a.m. Tuesday position in Central Florida. So in 48 hours, it's only going to move a couple of hundred miles. That means it's going to be moving very slowly. And when you combine that with a Category 3 plus hurricane, it could be some devastating damage there for eastern parts of Florida. Again, this based on the track that we're seeing at the moment, this could change, but again, Florida residents are going to really have to watch this very closely.
Right. So if we take a look at one of the computer model simulation, this is of the GFS, one of the recent runs. This is an upper level look, so it's showing what the atmosphere is doing above the storm. And this little circle of we call it vorticity spin in the atmosphere is basically taking landfall somewhere along the eastern coast around near Cape Canaveral. Again, based on that cone of uncertainty, it could basically be anywhere from the northern part of Florida to the southern part. But nonetheless, it looks like that this is going to be making landfall somewhere along the Florida coastline. But you can see the upper levels. We basically have these, ridges of high pressure over here and out toward the central part of the country. So it's trying to find the weakness in
And
between.
like you said, a weakness, and basically what you're doing is think about this: you take a piece of, I don't know, like a stick on a fast-moving stream, and that's what the atmosphere is. So the hurricane Dorian is looking for that path of least resistance, and
Right.
that would be between the two highs. Now, whether or not there is that little opening between the highs, or there isn't one, which would push the storm further west, maybe even to the Gulf of Mexico, that remains to be seen. But we'll have to see how the upper levels react. And also, again, we have several moving parts: the upper atmosphere, the storm itself, and it's all timing. So this is our best, at least, forecast that comes from the Hurricane Center. So we'll continue to monitor, and things will change. I can guarantee you that here over the next few days.
Exactly, and exactly what Brad mentioned. It's trying to find the weakness there. And once it gets inland, it starts to find this little trough that digs down here
Mhm.
that actually wants to pick it up and may even take it into the northeast, but again, still far out for that.
Right. How strong that trough is and how deep that trough is going to be really the determining factors on Dorian where she ends up.
Exactly. So, based on all that, let's take a look at some of the impacts here. The headlines: major hurricane possible, as we mentioned, by as early as tomorrow afternoon. Could be a Cat 3 hurricane. Landfall somewhere along the Florida coastline. Again, with that cone of uncertainty, it could be anywhere from near Miami up toward north of Jacksonville. But again, the impacts will be felt all along the Florida coastline. Anywhere near the eye wall, it's going to be pretty devastating with the winds, especially when you get sustained of 115 or more.
Right.
That can cause a lot of damage. Again, not going to be damage everywhere in the storm. It's really centralized where the major wind damage is, but the more impacts will be felt by the flooding rain as this thing starts slowing down inland. And again, storm surge is probably one of the more deadlier forms
Right.
of an impact of
The
a
wall of
storm.
water that this storm's going to create down
Exactly.
this northeastern quadrant, especially.
Right. So again, this is what we're looking at over the next few days. We'll keeping track of this storm and everything that it does, and see where the track takes it across the Florida coastline. And of course, you can follow us here at social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Check out our YouTube channel as well. And as always, at weatherworksinc.com. I'm meteorologist Michael Priante. Have a great day.